Sarah Elizabeth is an influencer whose content online revolves around her home, organizational content, and her pet dog Fiona, as well as vlogs about her daily routines and fashion content as well. She is a college educated person that has a middle class lifestyle and is very active when it comes to her health and physical well being. She is a highly motivated and ambitious individual based on the journaling and goal setting content that she has made in the past. Sarah Elizabeth is also a bit of a tech enthusiast, as observed from her YouTube channel. Her consumer profile is a perfect example of the type of individual that may consider purchasing from a brand such as Tesla, as their products would be complementary to her lifestyle. It is also possible to say that Elizabeth might have her values aligned with some of the values of the Tesla brand. This, however, is no longer the case as she recently gave up her vehicle in a TikTok video.
Decided I don't want to drive a Muskmobile. That's what I've been calling this car. I love the car. I don't like driving something that supports Elon Musk, so we're getting rid of it.
This is not only the case for her, but many other individuals with the Tesla brand. In this video essay, I will explain how Tesla's own brand image has been severely affected in recent events and how a change in the consumer's perception of the brand has led to the brand shaming of Tesla. Before we go any further, I would like to describe the terms brand image and brand associations, as these are important terms in understanding how Elon Musk's activities outside of Tesla might have resulted in the response from consumers that we are now observing. From a study on the effect of brand attitude and brand image on brand equity, it states that brand image is usually considered as the combined effect of brand associations, or more specifically, as the consumer's perception of the brand's tangible and intangible associations. They then further go on to state that a consumer's brand image results from the culminative effects of the firm's marketing mix activities. Brand image, according to Capferrer, results from the consumer decoding, extracting, and interpreting the brand signals, whereas brand associations that are acquired through the firm's marketing mix activities or product use contribute to and ultimately define the brand's image to the consumer. It is from these descriptions that I would then argue that Elon Musk, as the head or as the leader of Tesla as a company and as a significant representation of the company, forms a significant part of Tesla's brand associations. When people previously bought Tesla products, they bought into the various aspects of what it meant to buy a Tesla vehicle, to be environmentally conscious, to be seen as embracing new, innovative, and sustainable technologies that are being created by a supposed genius at the time. So then when Elon Musk, as a clearly visible brand association that feeds directly into the Tesla brand, engages in activities that are socially frowned upon, this directly impacts how consumers will perceive the brand image of Tesla as a whole, in spite of the positive attributes that may be attached to its products. This study somewhat proves this theory as well, as it states, associations that are unique, strong, and favorable should create a positive brand image, which when processed by consumers will bias consumer brand behavior toward brand equity enhancement. Moreover, a unique, strong, and favorable brand image permits the brand and its meaning to be strategically differentiated and positioned in the consumer's mind, contributing to the potential for enhanced brand equity. The issue at hand is thus not coming from Tesla's customers' dissatisfaction with their products, the brand, or the quality, but rather it is that their perception of the brand has changed drastically for the worse. Although I do not claim that this is the case for all Tesla consumers, it is seemingly the case for those that have taken to social media to complain and to protest physically. The change of perceptions of Tesla in the minds of consumers is what has led to the bevy of negative sentiments and brand shaming that is being seen right now. Pulling from Philip Kotler's book, Brand Activism From Purpose to Action, brand shaming can be described as a revolt against regressive behavior by a brand and can be seen as the polar opposite of net promoter score which is a market research metric that is based on a single survey question asking respondents to rate the likelihood that they will recommend a company, product, or service to a friend or colleague. Arising from these descriptions, we can now understand how the effects of brand shaming directly pose a significant threat to the profitability of Tesla, especially when its own customers as well as potential customers pull away from their brand in favor of product offerings from its competitors in the same industry. The characteristic nature of this level of revolt of brand shaming of Tesla shows signs of a term that is called consumer brand sabotage. I say this mainly because the retaliatory efforts that are made by the dissatisfied customers as well as non-customers of Tesla products here go beyond the typical negative word of mouth spread by aggrieved consumers against the company and has elements of fighting against social injustices that are being enforced by Elon Musk. Consumer brand sabotage, in a paper titled When Hostile Consumers Wreak Havoc on Your Brand, the phenomenon of consumer brand sabotage, can be described as deliberate behavior by customers or non-customers who have the dominant objective of causing harm to a brand through the impairment of brand-related associations of other consumers. I think that a lot of the backlash that Tesla is experiencing right now perfectly describes the elements of consumer brand sabotage, as most of the participants are genuinely not interested in rebuilding the broken bridges between them and the Tesla brand, because truly there is nothing that is fixable in this situation. Sure, some may say that they have issues with the quality of the products that they offer, but the most significant pain points of this retaliation do not originate within the company. They come from Elon Musk, and thus the most effective way to harm him directly or revolt against him is to go through his businesses first.
Listen, in a world with such little good news, I will hang on to everything that comes across my feed. That gives me just a sliver of hope that we shall prevail, that there are good people out there. Because if Elon Musk boy thinks he can just destroy a country, strip the government bare, I say we do the same to his shitty companies. Because if you can't Luigi Musk, you can Luigi Tesla, if you know what I mean. If he wants to buy the presidency and the government and have his companies intertwined with the government and then act like a Nazi, then he should expect people to fight back. He should expect his companies and his money to be a target. And people are not joking around. You can see this is just one of multiple Tesla dealerships that have been vandalized. This is in Manhattan. And these are some of the good people that protested the dealership in Manhattan. This is in Boston. They set fire to the Tesla charging stations. Even France is participating in solidarity. And if the French know how to do one thing well, it's to protest. They have insane stamina for protesting. So if the people in the White House want to behave the way that they behave right now and strip people of their rights and violate them and deport them based on their political views, etc., and all the other fucking bullshit nonsense that's coming out of this place right now, and they're acting like these people, it only makes sense that people will react back accordingly with the type of pushback that these people deserve. And they truly deserve the fucking worst.
Now, of course, this is not to say that Tesla is completely blameless in this situation, as it has had quite a few wrangles internally and may have handled them unfavorably. The paper then continues to state, our framework also highlights that consumer brand sabotage is not a spontaneous action. Rather, it results from a conscious mental process that often involves an escalation or repeated negative interactions of a brand. This behavior is thus the ultimate form that takes shape when attitudes against the Tesla brand and its brand association, that is Elon Musk, take a turn. In this book of consumer behavior, consumer attitudes can be described as a learned predisposition to behave in a consistently favorable or unfavorable way towards a given object. In the context of consumer behavior, this object can be a brand, product, advertisement, a retailer that sells the product, among other aspects of consumption. Attitudes can be learned from direct experience with the product, word of mouth, exposure to mass media, and other information sources that consumers are exposed to. These attitudes reflect either favorable or unfavorable evaluations of the attitude object and motivate consumers to either buy or not to buy particular products or brands. Initially, it could be said that since Tesla was a brand that espoused many values that were aimed towards sustainability and preservation of the environment by reducing carbon emissions in its products, that they attracted consumers whose personal beliefs were aligned with those of the company at the time. Of course, Tesla still maintains the same mission and values as it did back then, and ideally, consumers can still align themselves with the brand. However, when it comes to a discussion of the prevalent attitudes that are held by consumers, essentially, we are always talking again about mental processes that are held by consumers alone. The company is thus powerless to change the consumers' perceptions in their own minds of their own brand image that has stemmed from what they have observed of their own brand associations. It can also be argued that when Elon Musk, via Doge, which has not been constituted by an act of Congress, goes on to fire thousands of federal workers and force his way into accessing private citizens' data, all of this harm balances out all the good work that the Tesla brand claims to perform for the environment, which comes up in a net negative effect. A typical Tesla owner can't then be blamed for how their attitude about the brand has changed to be unfavorable, especially now that the Tesla vehicle that they own has seemingly transformed into a symbol of oppression. It then becomes a shameful display to be seen in public driving any vehicle by Tesla, which is evident when we see some Tesla owners with apologetic stickers plastered on their cars, with others also in a rush to discard the vehicles entirely.
Elon, when he was perceived as a champion of the world, saving the world, making electric cars, was sort of a hero of electric car buyers.
Yep.
He became more conservative and people kind of held their noses and just were whatever. Things have changed. And he has now gone pretty far in a direction that I suspect a lot of electric car shoppers are not.
Customers are thus distancing themselves from Tesla not because of perceived lack of quality, but because of the general shame that is being attached to being identified with the Tesla brand at this time on account of social injustices that are being carried out by Elon Musk. What it then means or meant to be associated with the brand has changed significantly, and this has changed for the chunk of the consumer base from being environmentally conscious and sustainable to being overshadowed by a symbol of oppression and hatred towards public employees and private citizens alike, and no one wants to be a part of that. Now we can begin to see into the minds of these consumers, such as with the consumer profile of Sarah Elizabeth, as to how in their minds these existing consumers have been betrayed by the Tesla brand when its conspicuously visible leader returns values that they did not want to buy into in the beginning, and whose actions deviate from the values that should actually support the company's own brand image. They see the impact that is harmful and perpetrated against citizens in their daily lives, and suddenly the social and environmental good that the products offer go up in smoke. It is important to note that even before the recent boycott activity from consumers that the Tesla brand is experiencing right now, that already they were not in a good position economically, especially in international markets such as Europe.
And Tesla sales are notably down in the US.
Way down.
They're also way down in Europe by stunning margins.
We saw yesterday they announced 0% on all Model 3s.
Correct.
0%,
which was just refresh. It's their newest model.
brand new refresh, and 0% is a pretty tough off.
So because of these performance issues that they had been experiencing, in addition to the effect of the ongoing protests, their already difficult position is seemingly going to get even worse. From this, I would like to ask a simple question on whether it is necessary that brands remain neutral in all their dealings and communications, or whether consumers actually care for companies that actively perform brand activism and continually have a positive perception of the brand image of companies that do so. To compare, Starbucks is an example of another company that had internal issues with wide pay gaps between higher management and its employees. Recently, it was reported that their freshly appointed CEO had been paid a huge lump sum of money for the performance that they had achieved just after laying off a huge chunk of the workforce. Although only affecting those that were only laid off Starbucks, the sentiments of losing employment with the economic conditions being as harsh as they are does not allow for consumers that get wind of this situation to maintain a positive view of the brand. On the other hand, Ben & Jerry's is an excellent example of a brand that embraces activism as a part of its brand image. Another brand that can be seen as engaging in activism among the industry of social media platforms is Lips. Lips is a social media platform that addresses the issues of extreme censorship that is experienced by adult content creators on mainstream social media, even when the content posted is not exclusively sexual in nature. Lips, a new social network geared towards free sexual expression, aims to provide that space. Founder Annie Brown and her team want users, sex workers, erotic artists, queer people, activists, and more to post without fear of censorship or harassment. Lips thus creates a platform for this and similar communities that have been deplatformed from other mainstream social media platforms that change their policies in favor of attracting money from advertising on their own platforms. It then becomes evident from these examples that as long as the activism is not performed ingenuinely and not to cover up a scandal, consumers are generally positively responsive to the brand and tend to have good perceptions of the brand. Brand activism that extends to social justice issues can also prove to be beneficial to the brand as it engages with other competing brands. Potentially, it can help to differentiate the brand and its products from competition who may be shy or unwilling to engage with their communities on social issues that affect them. Engaging in brand activism can deepen the relationships that the brand has within the community and thus help to further improve the perceptions of the brand itself, in that consumers may feel that the brand doesn't just extract resources from the community and its environment, but also that the brand actually cares about their own social welfares outside of what it has to offer them beyond economic transactions. A symbiotic relationship rather than a seemingly parasitic one. The Tesla brand has been placed in between a rock and a hard place, and the options to stop the bleeding are few. Tesla also runs the additional risk of losing a significant portion of their market share to competing brands such as Rivian locally within the American market, or by Chinese brands such as BYD in international markets where their reputation has taken the biggest hit, such as in Europe. All the same, they haven't just sat down and done nothing in response, as they have enlisted the support of social media influencers who will in all certainty re-inspire the loyalties of their brand image with impressive marketing tactics, as well as utilizing the skills of top-of-the-line salespeople that will definitely help to increase the anticipation of the rollout for their latest products.
Thank you all very much. I love Tesla.